Hey guys, my name is Dean. Welcome to Manflow Yoga. You are about to watch a full-length workout from my online members area here free on YouTube, so you can check it out and see if it's a good fit for you. I encourage you to check out some of the links in the description if you want to learn more about Manflow Yoga, or if you want to get started with a free beginners program. I have a 7-day intro, which is free, no credit card required, and it's an awesome way to get started in just about 15 minutes per day. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. We put out tons of workouts and content every week, and I hope you enjoy this workout. Be sure to like it. Hey guys, it's Dean. Welcome to Manflow Yoga. This is a beginner's workout for building core strength and core awareness. We're going to be doing all of this work on the floor. So we're going to be either on our back, on our butts in the seated position, or on our chest in a prone position. And the goal of this workout is to help you develop core strength, but also to develop core awareness, which means just being able to sense your core, being able to have that connection between your brain and the muscles in your core, because that's tough to develop if you aren't doing that much during the day. Those muscles just get weak and they get unresponsive. So when we're working on your core, we'll also be working on your hip muscles. So pretty much everywhere from your mid-thighs up through the top of your, or the bottom of kind of your ribs around your sternum, right? So working on all of that midsection of your body, building awareness, building strength there. You are going to need a block for today, and I'd also recommend that you have a wall nearby, because we're going to be utilizing the wall for a couple exercises as well. You don't need the wall, you can get by without it, but I do recommend having it. All right, let's get started. We're going to start off on your back with some very simple exercises to help develop core awareness. I want you to start by bringing your knees in toward your shoulders, and just as much as you can without forcing yourself. And you want to keep your lower back flat on the ground here. Lightly hold on to your knees. Try to keep the length through your torso. Don't arch your back, but make sure that you're not crunching in. And then I want you to breathe in and out of your nose. All right, so we're just establishing a nice pattern of breathing. Keep that continuous pace up. And then as you inhale, I want you to think puffing out your chest as much as possible from your pubic bone, so from your waist up through your chest. Just slowly filling up your entire diaphragm from the lower part of your torso up through your chest. And then as you exhale, squeeze all the air out. So using your abs, try to squeeze out all the air in your diaphragm, thinking about pulling your belly button toward your lower back, and again, squeezing out all the air. And as you inhale, filling up, expanding all the way from your waist through your chest. Exhaling, squeezing out all that air, pulling your belly button toward your lower back, squeezing it all out, tightening your abs as much as possible. 3 more of these breaths. So by the end of the exhale, you shouldn't have any air left in your lungs. All right, nice job. From here, we're going to go on to hands to thighs. This is one of my favorite exercises for building core awareness. Keep your knees over your hips. Go ahead and grab a block, actually, and then squeeze the block between your legs and push your hands into your thighs while pushing your thighs back into your hands. Keep your shoulders and your head relaxed on the ground and just lightly push. So you're having this little battle between your thighs and your hands. And you should notice that the front of your hips, so your hip flexors and your abs, start to work here as you push. If you're having difficulty here, if you can't quite do this, you can put your feet against a wall, and then keeping your toes on the wall, you can have a little support from the wall, and then maybe moving your feet away from the wall in little spurts. But the goal is to start developing awareness and feel those muscles shaking in your midsection. 1 more breath here. Continue to push in both directions. You can keep your head down. and then slowly release your feet to the ground. All right, little counter here. I want you to squeeze the block tightly between your legs. Make sure that your heels are under your knees. Squeeze your butt muscles, so pretend like you're squeezing something between your butt cheeks, and then lightly press down through your feet and lift your hips away from the ground. So you're hugging that block between your thighs, squeezing your glutes, and supporting your weight with your hips here. So you shouldn't feel too much in your back here. Make sure to keep your back neutral. So I want you to avoid puffing your chest out and arching your back, but instead hold onto that block, support your back with your hips, and keep your abs active as well. Do a couple breaths here, building that awareness through your hips, squeezing the inner thighs toward one another, holding that block to strengthen your adductors, your inner thighs. And your glutes should be working here as you do this. If you don't have that awareness yet, it's okay. You'll build it with time. One more breath. And then slowly release down. Okay, nice job. Go ahead and take that block out. We're gonna go to single leg reverse crunches. You're gonna start with your left foot on the ground, your right knee squeezing in toward your chest. Arms are along your sides. And then just go ahead and alternate. So planting your right foot, bringing the left knee in, and just going kind of back and forth like this. Exhale to squeeze the leg in, inhaling to switch. All right, so this is level 1. From here, level 2 is going to be bringing your leg, instead of to the ground, bringing it straight out and a little bit higher. So your foot is about 3 feet off the ground here. Keep your head and neck relaxed on the floor. To make this a little more challenging, you can bring your legs, as you extend it, bring it a little bit closer to the ground. All right, so now our feet are about a foot off the ground instead of 3 feet. So depending on how your back feels here, keep it higher if you do feel back discomfort. And if you don't feel any pain and you can make it a little more intense, then hover the foot about a foot off the ground. From here, if you want to make this more challenging, lift your head off the ground, bring your hands behind your neck, and hold your shoulders off the ground. Still mixing in your breathing with this. So inhaling to switch, exhaling to hold. Do a couple more rounds of these to both sides. Make sure that both sides of your abs are working, that your hips are squared, that you're not using one side more than the other. One more to each side. And then release down. Okay, nicely done. From here, we're going to move into some twists. We're going to start off with a passive hold, or a hold here. Bring your knees over your hips, and then bring your legs over to the right. Your left knee on top of your right knee. You're going to look straight up. Right hand comes to the left knee. Pull your ribs down, so avoid puffing your chest out, and try to turn your left chest to face straight up, or your torso in general to face up, hips facing over to the right. Press the back of your left shoulder to the ground, and work on squeezing your abs. Just like we did for that exercise we just did, I want you to try and feel those muscles, feel that muscle awareness in your core. All right, bring it back to the middle, inhale. And then as you exhale, bring your legs over to the left. Right leg on top of your left leg, left hand to the top of the right knee. Squeeze your right shoulder to the ground. Keep your hips facing to the outside. Keep your abs tight. And then try to get your torso to face up. It might not happen at first. You might notice that your right shoulder is off the ground and you're kind of facing over to the left still with your chest, and that's really normal. So as you do this regularly, so if you do this a couple times a week, you'll notice that over time your lower back, your spine starts to open up, and you'll get to the point where you can get your chest facing straight up. So here you're going to feel opening through your lower and your mid back. You might feel some stretching through the outer right hip, and we want the abs in your hips working. You'll also feel a stretch through the front of your right shoulder or in the chest. All right, bring it back to the middle. And now we're going to do reps of these. So as you inhale, bring your legs to the right. As you exhale, squeeze your core. Use your core strength to bring your legs back to the middle. Make sure you're not pushing into the ground with your arms. Inhale to the left. Exhale, squeeze your core. Bring your legs back to the middle. Keep this up on your own pace. Try to move slowly as you go through these. Don't go super fast. I want you to make sure that you're developing body awareness as you're going through these exercises. Keep this up. Try to keep the shoulders down. Developing core strength, developing oblique strength as we go through these. Making sure that you're inhaling to bring your legs to the outside and exhaling to come back to the middle. One more to each side. All right, and then go ahead and release your feet down. Nice job. We're going to come back up into a bridge, that same exercise we did near the beginning. So I want you to squeeze your butt, push down through your feet, pull your shoulders toward your ankles using the strength of your feet, and then drive up through your hips. Drive down through your feet, press to lift your hips. So we're not just lifting using your back, you're pushing into the ground to drive your hips up and supporting your lower back here with your glutes, okay? Make sure that you're not arching your back. It even helps here to let your chest dip a little bit, so let your hips come down a tiny bit and then squeeze your butt even more and try to pinch a penny between your butt. Basically seal up your entire crack. I know that sounds weird, but try to make your glutes as tight as possible all the way from the bottom through the top and then squeeze up a little bit higher. From here, I want you to bring your right leg straight out in front of you. So everything stays the same. Keep your hands on the ground for a little bit of support and bring your right leg about a foot off the ground. Couple breaths here. Now we're isolating your left glute. This is really important for core strength. If you don't have glute strength, you're going to have low back pain. So when I say core strength here, I'm really referring to abdominal strength and also hip strength. All right, switch sides. Slowly, with control, plant your right foot, transfer the weight into your right hip, and then bring your left leg out in front of you. Continue to hold here. As you get more familiar with this exercise, you'll be able to kind of lift your arms away because your weight is in the hips and in the core. But initially, use your arms to kind of help balance and feel it out. One more breath. And then plant your left leg. Release your hips down to the ground. Pull your knees in toward your chest. Little break here. Take 3 breaths if you need to. Bring your breathing back to normal. Keep your back flat on the ground. Maybe if your lower back got tight during that little sequence, relieving that tightness. All right, go ahead and sit up. And from here, we are going to find a wall. We're going to do a little bit more hip work. And this is so important for your core. Core is more than just abs. The traditional gym workout is going to focus on just your abs. In yoga and Manful Yoga, we're really going to focus on combining your hips and your abs. So I want you to sit flat against the wall as much as you possibly can. And if you're tighter through your legs, especially with your hamstrings, this might be difficult to do. So if you notice that you can't lock out your legs and sit flat against the wall, bend your legs a little bit. That's fine. From here, I want you to lift your right knee, keeping your right leg as straight as possible. So lifting up and holding. And if you look at me, you might not even be able to see my foot off the ground here, but I'm just hovering this foot. 30 seconds here, I'm going to hold it as high as I can away from the floor, and I am really struggling with my right leg here. Right, so my right leg is shaking as I attempt to hold this. It's because it's a really challenging exercise. So doing your best. If you need to take a little break, and then lift back up. We've got 10 more seconds to go. Sit up tall. Make sure that your back is flat against the wall as much as you can. 3, 2, 1, and then release. Okay, switching sides. So again, if you need to bend your leg so that accounts for your hamstring tightness, you can bend your leg. Go into the left leg now. Try to straighten the left leg and then hover it off the ground. Now you notice this is a lot easier for me on my left side, and that's normal. You're probably going to have a dominant side as well, one leg that's stronger than the other. Try to get that back flat against the wall. You're about halfway through here. Lift your toes, lift your knees. No pain in the back. Keep your abs tight. Lift with your hip flexors, right? So the front of your hip. 5 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1, and then release. Okay, right leg back out. If you need to, you can bend that left leg. You're going to turn your right toes to face out 45 degrees. Get your back as close to the wall as you can, maybe using your hands if necessary. And then lift your right leg away from the ground. Toes are facing out 45 degrees and focusing on your inner thigh. So kind of on your groin here. Lift. Keep the leg straight if you can. Again, just 30 seconds here. More than halfway through. Try to hover that leg. If you need a little break, take a little break, come back up. 10 seconds. Squeeze the inner thigh up and in. 3, 2, 1, and release. All right, other side. Turn your left foot out 45 degrees. This is really challenging, again, but only 30 seconds. And lift. So you're pushing your inner thigh up and slightly over to the right. Keep your right foot planted here. Keep the right leg pressing down if you can. If you don't have that mobility in your hamstrings, then you can bend your right leg. That's fine. Try to keep your back as flat as you can on the wall. If you notice that your back is slumping away from the wall, this gets really easy quickly. 15 more seconds. Ten seconds. Lift a little bit higher if you can. Focus on that awareness through the inner thigh. Make sure the toes are out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Okay, really nice job there. We're going to incorporate that into a seated boat. I want you to grab a block, come back to your mat, sit as upright as you can, and you can rest on the backs of your heels, legs out in front of you. Go ahead and put the block between your thighs. Squeeze it tightly. Make sure that your knees and your ankles and hips are in a line. Depending on your hip width, you might have a block skinny between your legs, or you might have it a little bit wider between the legs. Now I want you to first kind of lift your knees one by one away from the ground and notice how that engages your hip flexors. So we're going to feel the muscles right at the fronts of your thighs, kind of at the tops of your thighs where your hips are. We're going to feel those muscles engage. Now using your hands, I want you to sit as upright as you can and try to make your back flat. Okay? So that does take a lot of core awareness. So use your hands initially. Build that awareness. We're not arching the back here. We're trying to get the back flat. And then we're lifting lightly with the knees to use our hips to hold ourselves up. So as we lean back, we're counteracting that by lifting with our hips. So you're going to feel the fronts of your thighs working here as you hold. If you feel secure, bring your arms out in front of you. Just 15 more seconds here. Hugging that block, lifting lightly with the knees. So just that lift of the knees is going to engage the hip flexors, and then trying to keep your back flat. Shouldn't be any pain in your back here. If there is, use your hands for support. Last 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and then release. All right, nicely done. From here, we're going to go to a 90 position with your hips. So I want you to bring your right shin parallel to the top of the mat and your right knee out. And your left shin is going to be perpendicular to the top of the mat. So we're kind of making this 90-degree position with the legs. You might be familiar with this if you've done some other mobility work. And from here, you might be kind of leaning over to your right here to support yourself, depending on your body type, depending on your mobility, if you've done this before. But the goal here is I want you to sit as upright as you can. So if you have a block and you would like to use a block, maybe using the block to hold yourself upright, maybe putting your hands on the ground, But as you're doing this, I want you to work on using your hips to hold yourself upright. So maybe lightly pushing down through your hips, maybe thinking about lifting your ribs away from the hips, getting as tall as you can in the seated position. But the goal here is just kind of build awareness in your hips and your core, keeping yourself upright. And again, you might need your hands on the ground to do this. We're going to do 2 more breaths here. As you inhale, get tall. As you exhale, try to tense your core muscles and your hips, right? Well, they're one and the same. Hips, core, abs, and core. 1 more breath. All right. And then we're going to switch. I'm going to turn just so you can kind of see this a little bit differently. So my left shin parallel to the top of the mat. My right shin is perpendicular to the top of the mat, making that 90-90 position. My left knee is going to be outside the hip. So sitting up tall, pushing down through your hips, sitting as tall as you can, maybe using your hands on the ground for support. Trying to engage the muscles in your hips. Initially, it's a good idea to use your hands to kind of push into the ground. Be careful with your knees here, if you're new to this, to create some height, right? So lifting your ribs away from the hips. Two more breaths. Okay, and then go ahead and release. We're going to go into one more seated position here, a seated twist. Bring your right leg straight out in front of you. Cross your left foot over your right knee. If you notice that that's difficult, if that makes it really awkward for you and your lower back pokes out way behind you like this, start by just planting your left foot in front of your right knee. We're going to work on sitting upright here and using those muscles in your hips that we did in that boat pose before. Here, I want you to use those muscles to keep yourself upright as possible. Hug your right leg, and to get started, I want you to sit up as tall as possible and use that assistance with your hands on your knee to get as tall as you can. Push down through your hips, get as tall as you can. Think about lifting your right leg away from the floor, and that will engage the hips. And as you start to build awareness here, maybe you can start to lift your hands away from your leg, right, and holding yourself just with your core strength. We've got 2 more deep breaths here. As you get more comfortable, maybe bringing your right elbow outside the left knee, left hand behind your hips, and again, just using your core strength to stay upright here. So notice my left hand's away from the floor. Wherever you are, treating this like a strength, treating this kind of like a plank. All right, and then back to the middle. Switch legs. So we're going to bring your left leg straight out in front of you now. Plant your right foot inside your left knee, if that's how you want to start, or cross the right foot all the way over the left knee. Sit up as tall as you can. And then lightly turn toward your right, using your hip strength to stay tall here, right? So I'm kind of lifting with my left leg and pushing down through my hips, pushing down through my thighs to stay tall. As I exhale, maybe twisting a little bit more into this. As I inhale, lifting my chest, getting taller. And again, really working on that core strength to hold myself upright. 2 more breaths. Get a little bit taller, hold yourself as upright as possible. Last breath. And then take it back to the middle. Flip over onto your chest. We're going to finish this off with just a couple of exercises on your chest. So I want you to start with your chin on your hands and your feet extended out behind you, so reaching your legs back as far as possible. And from here, I want you to lift your left leg off the ground, point the toes as much as you can, and try to keep your abs tight as you're doing this. So you shouldn't feel any pain in your lower back. Keep your hips engaged, point the toes, squeeze the leg up. This is a single leg locust, or a single leg lift, prone. Go ahead and release. Switch sides, lift your right leg off the ground, point the toes, Keep your abs tight to protect your back. Think about pushing your pubic bone into the floor. Basically pushing your waist into the floor. That will help to engage your core, and that will protect your back. Leg as long as possible, and then getting height. Go ahead and release down. And then we're going to go into a cobra. So tops of the feet facing the ground. Push your feet very firmly into the ground here. Squeeze your thighs together. Lengthen your chest forward. Push the top of your head away from your shoulders, and then just lightly lift your chest away from the floor. Your hands aren't doing any work here. You're using your hips and using your core strength to lift. No pain through the lower back. Push down through your feet, squeeze your legs together. Continue to push your feet into the ground. That's really hard to do, but do your best. And just 10 more seconds here. Push down through your feet, squeeze your thighs together, lengthening forward, and then lifting a little higher. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, and then release. All right, from here, take it back into a child's pose. This is a restorative pose. Knees come wide, big toes touch. Try to keep your belly button sucked in, or kind of pulling up and in toward your lower back. Don't let it negatively impact your breathing. Just see if you can lift your belly button toward your lower back. And then walk your arms out in front of you into child's pose. Back as flat as possible. If you notice that your back is rounding, think about pushing your lower back toward your abs, pulling your belly button up and in toward your lower back, or maybe lengthening the front of your torso a little bit more. Whatever it takes to do that. And if you're not quite sure what you look like, I highly recommend incorporating a mirror into what you're doing, or if you have an iPad or you want to record yourself on your phone, you can do that, and then you'll be able to tell what you're doing with your body. Two more breaths. All right, and then from here, take it back onto your chest into a supported cobra, or kind of a sphinx pose here. So I want your forearms down instead of your hands. Press the top of your feet into the ground lightly. Pull your belly button toward your lower back, and stretch your abs here. So pressing the tops of your feet into the ground, pulling your chest forward, using your forearms to keep yourself off the ground. Still shouldn't feel any pain in your back here, so continue to squeeze your legs lightly toward one another and lightly push your feet into the ground. And think about lengthening from your waist through your abdomen. Two more breaths here. Should be feeling some stretching through the front of your abs, and then release down. Okay. You're welcome to take any other stretches you'd like. Go back to that child's pose if you feel like your lower back is annoying you. But that is our workout for today. So again, we are focused on building core strength, building core awareness through mostly exercises on the ground. Right, so we didn't all actually get up into standing positions. The goal here was to develop that core strength, kind of isolate your core and make sure that those muscles are doing what they're supposed to do. So we're building strength there, but also training your body so that when you do go into some other full body movements and functional movements, you'll have the strength to do that. So hope you enjoyed that workout. If you're watching this from the Manflow Yoga members area, be sure to leave a comment on the workout in the comment section below. Inspire someone else to do the workout. If you have feedback on the workout, if you want to talk about a particular exercise in the workout that was really helpful for you or really challenging, talk about that here. When people see that there is a community behind this and it's not just a series of online workouts, it does make it a lot more exciting, makes it more motivational so that you actually come back and do these workouts, which is really what it takes to get results. So thanks for being part of the Manflow Yoga community. If you don't already have a Manflow Yoga Cork Yoga mat, these are available on Amazon, and they are now available in the UK. So go to amazon.co.uk and search Manflow Yoga mat if you want to get this mat in the UK. and it's been in the US now for about 8 months. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next workout. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that workout. Hope you learned something new. Try to make these workouts very helpful in terms of technique, in terms of learning how to properly engage muscles and build strength with yoga. If you're looking for more workouts, I encourage you to check out the rest of the videos on this YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure I have over 1,000. And if you want more, if you're looking for an organized program to get started, I highly recommend checking out the Manflow Yoga members area. It's just $1 to get started with a 7-day trial. So thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to like this video if you liked any of it. It's really helpful, and I hope to see you on future videos.